Max, it is so wonderful to be here with you today. Thanks for joining me.
I appreciate you having me.
Of course. So let's first start off with the catalyst that made you want to start your business. Tell me about your origin story.
Yeah, so I found myself moving to South Bend, Indiana. My wife was going to school there, and I ended up in a city of 100,000 people where I really didn't know anybody. And so I started meeting folks in the community and saw that you have a lot of businesses in markets like South Bend and these smaller areas around the Midwest that have $500 million or $1 billion in revenue that are incredibly successful companies and are looking for technology. I mean, they themselves are entrepreneurs. They're creative thinkers. They're wanting to see what's coming in the market and are wanting to have access to the tech that's being developed around the country, around the world. And so started really connecting them, the RV manufacturer in Elkhart, Indiana, to the logistics software in San Francisco. And where we were able to connect the two is where there's product market fit and where we saw a real opportunity to make an investment.
So tell me about Heartland's portfolio companies. What exactly are you looking for, and what do you have right now?
Yeah, so what makes us a little bit unique is all of our investors are business owners of mid-market companies that are doing $500 million to $1 billion in revenue, that are manufacturing logistics companies. And so anything that we look to invest in will be technologies that our investors can use. And so we'll find instead of us just saying, hey, we're going to invest in an HR technology because we think it's good as investors, instead we take that HR technology and bring the founder out to the Midwest and connect them to a bunch of their customers and say, hey, is this something you all would actually use? Is there a real product market fit here? So from our perspective, we're getting market validation, the founder's getting hopefully introductions to new customers, and then the corporation, our investor, is getting an investment, but also technology that can help make their business more effective. And so we're investing in a lot of HR technology, logistics, construction tech, manufacturing tech, the things you might associate with the Midwest.
How do you work to empower these founders of these tech companies who may be a little nervous about taking on VC funding or putting themselves out there? What advice do you give them?
Yeah, I mean their customers at the end of the day are who are going to make or break their business, and so they need to have the courage to be able to look them in the face and be able to share what they're doing, and that's the best feedback that they can get. I guess I would encourage any founder to build relationships with your customers. Even if you don't have a finished product yet, figure out who your target customer is going to be and build relationships so that you can get honest feedback. And part of the reason I love being in the Midwest is this is where a lot of the customers are if you're selling into manufacturing or logistics.
Right.
And so get to know those people and have conversations with them, and they're not going to yell at you. They're going to be friendly, and a lot of these people are entrepreneurs themselves. Maybe not tech entrepreneurs, but they started a manufacturing company, and so they get it. They get the struggles that come with it, but they also get the need for honest, candid feedback, and they'll give that to you.
Now, as much as I love talking about South Bend and Indiana, which sound wonderful, we are here in the beautiful Southern Theater in Columbus, Ohio. So I am wondering, how did you transition from Indiana to Ohio, and why?
Yeah, so I didn't know anyone in Ohio, in Columbus, when we first came here, but we were looking at expansion cities. We felt this is something, this isn't a Northern Indiana thesis. This is a Heartland, Midwest thesis, something where there are thousands of these companies scattered around the Midwest, of these mid-market family businesses that want technology. They want to be connected with the tech hubs around the country and maybe don't currently. And so we were looking for expansion cities and looked at many different markets, and Ohio was perfect for us. It was growing, large concentration of privately held businesses. A really surprisingly disproportionate number of Fortune 1000 companies are located here. Incredibly collaborative, incredibly welcoming, and proximity to where we were. And we moved here about 3 years ago and have fallen in love with it.
Now, talk to me a bit about the VC scene here in Ohio. Are you one of many? Do you have any competitors?
It's grown incredibly quickly, which has been great. I mean, that's a good thing for us. We want to see more deal flow. We want more VCs here, and I think that's just a byproduct of the talent pipeline of OSU, of a couple of large exits that have happened regionally that have then sparked other companies that have come up, and then that's attracted the investment. And so I think the state's done a great job of bringing people in. Firms like Drive, have raised large funds that have kind of become like the kind of large anchor, and it's become really one of the, if not the hub in the Midwest outside of, I guess, Chicago.
Now, tell me about your own funds. You talked about Drive, but talk to me about how your journey has been from starting out to where you are now.
Yeah, when we moved to Columbus, we were about 15 million assets under management. We're now at about 100. Oh, wow. And so it's been a fun growth journey over the last couple of years since expanding here. We continue with the same thesis of how do we bring together family businesses or privately held companies across the Midwest that need technology that we can help provide access to. We still have offices in Indiana. We have 2 people in Indianapolis. We have folks in Columbus, and moving forward, we're going to be expanding geographically across the Heartland, because I think there's a need nationally to create more connection points between the coast and the Midwest, and between tech hubs and industrial hubs. And I really believe this can be the intersection between industry and innovation.
And I'm going back to the name Heartland because I think that has just been key in all of our conversations. Were you the one who came up with that as the name? And tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, we were in the early days, one of our early partners, Mark, we were kind of going through like what really defines who we are. And I think he suggested Apple Pie Ventures. And so we were almost Apple Pie Ventures, but I think it speaks to just Midwestern values and what we represent, and that it's not, necessarily a geographic region. It's more of a mindset, of a type of culture, areas where there's a lot of entrepreneurial activity, but again, not in necessarily tech. It's in, the manufacturing sector, logistics sector, and I think that's kind of the heartland.
Where do you find these up and coming companies? Are you looking at incubators? Are you looking at people out of university? What is the secret?
Yeah, all the above, and we have a great team that is, so we have someone in New York. For a long time, we were in San Francisco every Thursday. 6 a.m. flight there, last flight in the evening back. Red eye back to hustle and to be where the deals are emerging. And so we'll look at a couple thousand deals a year, and we'll filter it down to about 5 that we'll actually invest in. But even in the deals that we don't invest in, if we can make more connection points between San Francisco and Columbus, Ohio, we want to do that.
As a business leader here in Ohio, talk to me about any specific decisions that you've made as a leader that have set Heartland just way apart from your competitors here.
Yeah, I think it's embracing the fact that we don't know everything, and that even though we're the asset allocators and we're the investors, that there's a lot of things that we need to rely on other people's input for. And at the end of the day, if we're investing in early technology that doesn't yet have product market fit, that hasn't established that people want to really buy their product instead of you needing to sell them your product, we need to rely on the people who do know that information. And those are the business leaders that are already here. The people that, again, own the established, what some people might consider, kind of unsexy industry. That's where a lot of the value really is.
So when you were first starting out and you were very small and no one knew who you were, what was the pitch you gave to people to take a chance on Heartland, take a chance on you? How did you get the money for your fund, and what would you say to people?
Yeah, and it definitely was a risk that people took, and I'm not from South Bend either. I'm from Milwaukee, and so when I was in South Bend, I didn't really know anyone, and needed to just build a community and build a support network. I had really no real reputation there. Venture can oftentimes seem sort of nebulous. It has a reputation of that, especially in the Midwest, of it being some technology that they'll never use themselves, and they don't necessarily even understand or get how it could be valuable. But if we find a technology that the owner of a RV manufacturer really wants to use, and where he can look at that or she can look at that and say, oh my gosh, this is something that is going to save me X% on procuring product, or reduce waste, or help me hire more efficiently or train more efficiently, it becomes very tangible in their mind. And so we would take technology that they understand, that they see the value in, and when we bring it to them, they say, yeah, I would spend a few $100,000s a year on this. Then all of a sudden they understand how we function as investors, because they see that, well, if I want to use it and I see value, other people will as well, and I understand that will allow the company to grow and it'll be a good investment. And so it became more of a kind of a show don't tell situation, where instead of saying we can deliver these great returns, it was look at what we actually would be investing in, and you decide for yourself whether or not there's value here.
Yeah, that makes sense. And what's been the most challenging part of running your business?
Honestly, I think the most challenging part is growing a team, especially a distributed team. That's becoming more common, for companies that have many more employees than us, with startups that are starting now, especially post-COVID. Distributed teams are kind of a way of life now, and it can be hard to build culture and to build, a common belief within your company. And so we've really had to allocate a lot of resources and time and be very purposeful about that by doing, whether it's, retreats or just being purposeful with the time that we have together to make sure we really are a team. But it's hard.
Where do you see your company going both this year and in the next 5 or 10 years?
Yeah, the venture market's interesting right now, but we see honestly a lot of opportunity with reshoring and a continuing labor shortage. There's an opportunity to support U.S. manufacturing. To be able to meet the demand of where we're going over the next couple of years, we need technology. We need to allow the people that are working in these facilities now to be able to do more and to be able to automate the jobs that are dangerous or low paying, candidly. Every single one of our investors are struggling to hire still. And so technology can help that. And so we're going to be continuing to invest in that, to continue investing in the future of U.S. industry and the future of U.S. manufacturing. And to do that, we're going to be expanding geographically. So we'll be going into other cities around the Midwest where we feel, again, there's an opportunity to aggregate people who want to see technology in the heartland and people who are developing technology wherever they're located.
I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you.
Sure.
So what would it take to get you to sell your company, if anything?
Oh God, I would never,
Really?
I wouldn't know what to do. No, I love it. I love every day of what I get to do. I feel incredibly fortunate that I get to, meet incredible founders who are dedicating their life to building something new and risking pretty much everything to build something new, while also meeting with, multi-generational family business owners who, grew up with their great-great-grandfather, starting the company, and that's all they know, because when they sat around the dinner table, that's what they heard, and that's what their father heard, that's what their grandfather heard. It's this incredible combination of two people who are very passionate and completely bought into what they do, and I get to bring them together and observe, and I feel incredibly fortunate.
Is there one business rule that you've learned along the way that you operate by no matter what?
The business rule I would follow, and I think it aligns with Midwestern values, is to honestly just do what you say you're going to do. And especially when you're younger and you don't have much of a reputation yet, you need to build one. And whether you fail or succeed, as long as you do what you say you're going to do, you're going to build a good reputation where people will continue to take chances on you. And something that I learned growing up, and something that I stick by now.
What would you tell your younger self the day before you started Heartland that you wish you had known now?
What I would tell myself, I guess, before I started Heartland would be to keep good records from the beginning. It's easy when you're moving really quickly to move fast and break things, but especially when it comes to relationships, there are a lot of people that really want to help you early on, that want to continue to track you and see how you're doing. And so to, whether it's a CRM or an Excel sheet, whatever it might be, but to track all those meetings, all those conversations you're having, even from the early days, so that later on you can go back and update them on how you're doing. And by doing that, you're going to build, really great supporters and advocates and relationships, and something that we do now, but something that, certainly wish I did, from day one.
And final question for you, and this could be a heavy one, so
Sure.
Warning. What do you want your legacy to be?
Oh man, what I would want my legacy to be is that I think a lot of folks now, are kind of siloed in how they think and who they interact with, and that's the case in political groups and social groups and whatever it might be. But it's also geographic, and within the U.S., I think that exists on whether in San Francisco to Columbus, or to Elkhart, Indiana. There's very different ways of thinking, and people don't really interact or collaborate. And I think we can be much more effective as a country, candidly, if we leverage, the expertise that both regions have, the knowledge that, Midwest sixth generation family businesses have with, a tech founder, coming from the coast. There's a lot that we can do by bringing those folks together, and my hope is that we can spur more of those coastal to Midwest conversations.
Excellent. Well, I wish you the best of luck, Max, and thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.